Continuous snooker here today in Brentwood with some drawn out but very exciting matches so far. I don't think we can expect any change tonight. I mean, it's hard to think this wouldn't be another close game between these two. It's a real barnstormer of a match, isn't it? It was made even better by that match we've seen the end of, where John dished up against him
first frame
at the Crucible.
John against the break.
6 of their previous meetings have gone the distance. No reason to think this won't be the 7th. And apart from the outcome, apart from the Higgins pursuit of 1,000 centuries, there's that subplot about staying in the top 16. He's been there since 1995, without interruption. A win here tonight would do him a great favour in terms of retaining that status. Defeat could leave him vulnerable. So back when he got in the top 16, Neil, petrol was 51p a gallon. Everton had just beaten Manchester United to win the FA Cup, and Tiger Woods that year won the US Amateur Championship.
The fact that you said that petrol was 51p a gallon, not a litre, tells me it was a long time ago.
It should have been a litre.
Oh, OK, all right. But I get your point. I suppose everything will come to an end for everybody in snooker at some point, although I don't know. I don't feel that John is... I don't think there are 16 better players in the world than John Higgins at this stage. Anyway, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, just on that, if he does lose, there's no guarantees he will fall out of the 16 at the end of this tournament, but he might win, and he's looking a little healthier.
Yeah, I mean, I think that going out of the 16 is never going to be a good thing, but the way that the rankings flow, if he dipped out of it for a little while but was still back in it in time for the Masters, I mean, not to be in that would be a big deal. And of course, not qualifying for the Crucible is something every top player wants. The fact that they just have to get seeded through. The UK now the way it is, he wants to be in the 16 for that, John Higgins. So at least you've always got the chance, if you're a top player, to get straight back in at the important cut-offs. Anyway, all of that we'll see. I would like to say one thing. We saw the closing stages of that World Championship match, and for Mark Cullen, it must have been the most bitterly crushing defeat, but he accepted it very well, I thought. You know, it hurt, but he was very good, I thought, at the handshake. It's easy to say you've got to be a good sport, but some things really hurt, and he was an absolute gent, I felt.
Absolutely concur with that. When we were out in Saudi Arabia recently, I had a chat with him about that match, and again, he was full of sportsmanship and praising Higgins, obviously remembering the run he missed when he was 62 ahead. Don't think he'll ever forget it, but yes, he accepted defeat on the chin.
One.
It will be interesting to see how the table plays this evening. The one characteristic I've noticed in both of the matches we've covered so far today, when players are going into the bunch of reds, they're just not moving. And that's unusual. And of course it makes sizable breaks and fluency all that more difficult to achieve.
But also,
Seven.
certain players are better suited to using power, aren't they? I mean, without going back too far, our good friend John Parrott, with his strong cue action, did very well overseas with very sluggish conditions. It suited his game, and it does suit some players better than others. Players with a power game and a strong cue action might just do better under certain conditions. It's meant to be a level playing field, but not all snooker tables and conditions play the same. And there's an example of what you're saying, Phil. I mean, the balls have almost stuck together like they're glued. And now the cue ball's embedded in there. John Palou's forgot to get the black out. I think he was
15.
worrying about a touching ball.
Yes, normally on these tables the balls fan out so cooperatively. Not today.
John Higgins, 15.
I'm trying to think actually which players around at the moment would be best suited to tables that you've really got to give the balls a bit extra on, because so few tables are like it these days. And the balls do split, as you say. I think the answer to my question might just be Kyron Wilson, who's still in. Of course, he's on later. He has got a very strong cue action. He might just like conditions or be better suited to him than most. We'll find out later when he plays Barry Hawkins. Good shot that from John. Playing the two cushion glance off a red. He never really looked like getting it. I thought he was aiming a little bit narrow there, but
4.
almost players dip their toe first try and hope to improve on attempt number 2. So if he plays the same shot, he's got to go up the cushion further, that left cushion, to send it wider.
Bring it up. Bring it up, please.
John Palou's right-hand man, his marker for this is Alex Cresan. They're working together on the replacement. And he's going in the incorrect direction. Needs to pull the cue ball further forward towards the yellow.
Yes, and of course any alteration has got to be based on the fact that the balls are put in the same place.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Well, that was definitely closer. Problem is, of course, you can leave a free ball if you're not careful. Although he hasn't done.
4. John
Cue ball
Higgins.
goes any more pacily, and it's in behind the brown. But this is definitely, from this angle, you'll see, a whisker away. Goodness. And you make too much of an adjustment, you just crash into all the reds.
Thank you, John.
And there, the forfeiture of those points in penalties. That's perfectly acceptable from Mark Allen's point of view, getting out of the situation with limited damage. We can hear the other table in operation. Neil Robertson against Ross Muir. And Robertson, in terms of the bookmakers, is considered, well, almost a certainty. He's 1-9 to win that match. But it's Muir who's in first.
Well, that's got to be very unfortunate. He made pretty good contact with the bunch there.
5.
That was nothing to do with the conditions. It just, the cue just veered off at a not a very good angle off the side of the bunch. Both Judd Trump and John Higgins on 998 centuries now. He's been pegging John back, hasn't he? Of course, he could make them both tonight, for all we know, and get there first. Was certainly an occasion when Ronnie O'Sullivan did it, wasn't it? The Preston Guildhall, in that frame that won in the event over Neil Robertson. Can't promise anything quite like that.
John Higgins, 5.
Still be something when they do get there.
Yeah, it's unlikely, but possible. Higgins has made 2 or more centuries in a match against Mark Allen on 6 previous occasions.
One.
I must say, though, Mark Allen will be very confident. He's played some good, solid match play snooker. Under the cosh here, he was 3-2 down to Long Zihuang. First up, 1-4-3. Pot success rate in that match overall, 94%. And then from 2-1 down, he beat Liu Hao Shan 4-2. In that match, he made 5 breaks of over 50. He's not been spectacular here, but he's been more than decent.
Lem. 12.
Pretty unappealing bunch of reds, isn't it? The two below the black are not potable anywhere. And the others, well, it's just hard to see a way of getting into them. That's what the head shake is about. It doesn't feel like he's about to open up the frame at any time soon, unless he can just get the perfect contact on the bunch. I don't suppose you ever know until you try. But the angle on the brown, he can't get the pace into the bunch very easily from that. I think that's an excellent shot, you know. I really do. I mean,
16.
he's opened up the two reds below the bunch. He played with screw and right-hand running reverse side. And that actually has changed things. The two reds are moved by the black first of all. Then he goes into the bunch. I mean, how he got the strength of cue power to do that, I don't know.
17.
Remarkable shot, in fact.
Yeah, this is a man who's renowned for delicacy rather than power.
Well, he has got his cue speed. You know, he can whip the cue through the ball, which sometimes generates the spin. But I'd agree with you, he's not really
24.
a powerhouse player.
$25. $32. $33.
Always plays that shot really nicely, the one where you come off
40.
two cushions with running side.
$41.
And then he'll using the looped bridge.
Again, not quite how he meant it.
48.
It's been an excellent break. But now cueing over a ball, cue ball running down. You can see it going beyond the baulk line if you're not careful here. So many shots have just drifted on and on. And of course the pot is not a certainty, cueing over the top of the pink.
$49.
Good shot that is to play on the blue. Oh, hang on a minute, what's he done here? Surely not. Surely not. Well, that's all right.
54.
Blue on the pink spot, that's better than going in front of his own spot. But again, he was short of pace. It's been a terrific break so far to even get this far. I don't think it's that the table's slow. I mean, the balls are running off the bed pretty well, but as you say, they're not opening up that much. I mean, this went and went and ended up quite nicely on a bolt colour.
No, it's a strange mix, I think, this table.
Serves to be on one, and it isn't bad at all.
57. $58.
On the other table, we saw a brief snippet of Ross Muir scoring. Well, he didn't stay at the table
60.
for too long. The first frame is over, and it's fallen to Neil Robertson.
$61. $67. $68.
Well, I can tell you one thing. We've seen bigger breaks this week. We had a 147. But I don't think I've seen any better than this.
73.
Chance to make exactly 100. When he was faced with that colour, with the
75.
reds all completely blocked off, black spot was not free, bunch of reds seemed immovable. He's turned things around in a big way. It's a break and a half, actually, this.
78.
Just as you started saying that, Neil, I was thinking exactly the same thing. And it's the kind of break in an opening frame that can set you up for a really good performance. The Higgins expression, I think, says it all.
87. $93.
Odds of making a century when he came to the table? Well, pretty much name your price. That was cue ball control at its very finest. And the potting wasn't too shabby either. Mark Allen makes an opening statement. Mark Allen, if he's not delighted with the way he took the first frame, he should be. Is that the blueprint for the rest of the contest? Just a reminder that the winner of this match plays Chris Wakelin or Pang Junzhu, who go into battle later. In the other quarter-final in the bottom half of the draw, it will be Neil Robertson or Ross Muir against the winner of our last match in the main arena, Barry Hawkins against Kyron Wilson. And if you're just joining us after a hard day at work, sit back, relax, and I can tell you what's happened in the top half Judd Trump made a century in beating Fan Zhengyi 4-2. He now plays Wu Yize, the youngster from China, beating Ben Wollaston 4-2. Mark Selby laboured for over 3.5 hours to defeat Si Jiahui 4-3, and he now faces Ishpreet Singh Chadha of India through to the quarter-final of a world ranking event for the very first time, thanks to his 4-3 win over He Guoquang. Ishpreet led 3-0, was pegged back to 3-3, but held his nerve when it mattered most. He's from Mumbai, Neil, Ishpreet. Great cricket city. And today he passed a test.
Yes, Dave Hendon pointed out, wasn't it, that it was 2013 the last time an Indian player got this far in a ranking event, when Aditya Mehta got to the final of the Indian Open. So it'd be good to think that he could go that far. Don't think John Higgins thought that he'd played his last shot in that previous frame at the point when he did. How he kept the break gun, I'm not entirely sure, but he managed it. Thought he played well last night against Lu Hushan. In the end, it was a tough game. So there's signs he's coming into a bit of form, Mark Allen. But, you know, he's at the stage of his career where only being there at the weekend will mean anything to him. It's a great shot, isn't it? And well held with the cue ball. It's not raced back into bulk.
There's been a serenity about his game, though, here, and also about his cueing. He was talking to Alan McManus, saying that he's not been taking the cue back too quickly. And that's been noticeable already this evening. Smooth he is with the delivery.
He's happy with that, I think. Looks like he's on a middle red into the left corner. Yeah, I think with his cue action, it's all about his timing, isn't it? He does whip the cue through. Everyone's got to time the ball, but in someone like Mark with a short, sharp cue action, it's probably more important than anybody else. When it does all work, he's formidable. It's another lovely little cannon.
5.
But a little straight on the black, which is the only thing you could say that's not absolutely 100% about it. This time, not behind the red
12.
to pot it. Well, not behind the red, but still finding a way of potting one. And again, that cue ball racing out of bulk. He's He's in a good place right now, concentration and ball striking. It's only a best of 7, but he's made a very good start.
Boxing promoters can be often heard saying styles make fights, and I think that's the case with snooker as well. These two have great mutual respect, and they always seem to have the chemistry to produce a good one.
$50.
Now, this is the problem, isn't it? This is almost the kind of shot he missed against John when he cleared, because he's got to lean across, playing it right-handed with that rest. And that is a bit of an Achilles heel for players who are left-handed that use the rest right-handed. They have to lean across. If he was right-handed, he probably could have reached it anyway. And that cost him that World Championship break where John dished on him. That sort of shot.
Yeah, I know you've made that point before, Neil, and it's very perceptive, actually.
Well, you've got Judd, and you've got who plays right-handed from that side of the table quite a lot for that reason. Barry Hawkins, another one who's still in this tournament, a left-hander who uses the rest with his opposite hand. A little bit of a blind spot on the table for those players. It's down the right channel at this end of the table. So now what? Clear shot at reds. But hard to think of an easy way back to the bulk end for many of those reds that he can hit. Not any obvious pot on either, so it's one of those where you can see reds, but you can't do anything with them. He's done very well. That's a good safety shot from position of, well, no strength. Trouble seemed to be looming there.
few oohs and ahs from another superb crowd here at the Brentwood Centre. But the main objective there was to get the cue ball back deep into baulk, and that's precisely what he's achieved.
Tiptoeing back to his chair. Well, I suppose he'll feel a bit unlucky there. He steered the cue ball back, but a series of kisses has brought that red towards the middle.
One.
And once again, his touch is quite exceptional tonight. Perfectly behind the blue.
They've got such a lengthy history, these two.
6.
And many believe the seed of decline in the game of John Higgins was planted 2-3 years ago when,
7.
in a relatively short space of time, he lost several finals which he was controlling. And one of those was against Mark Allen. Climax of the Northern Ireland Open in 2021. Home Nation Series event, of course, same as this. Higgins led 8-6. Mark Allen got the verdict at 9-8.
13.
Yeah, John Higgins missed the black in that match into the left corner from above it and fairly close to the right cushion, and he never got back into the match after that. And like you say, it brought about a few similar results.
$14.
It must be a wonderful feeling when you're out there, centre stage,
16.
in control of your game, in the zone, knowing it. Seems to me that is what Mark Allen is at the moment, in the zone.
17. 23.
Yes, there is a gap that could take him through and perhaps off the cushion onto the black, but of course he could end up behind the red as well and not beyond anything. Well, if he
24.
played it like that, which I'm sure he did, it was another immaculate positional shot. Made it look easy, but it could easily have gone wrong.
$31. $32.
Tried to take the cue ball past the pink and didn't pull it off.
Yes, for once, just not quite getting it right. And the byproduct missing the next ball.
32.
So not won the frame yet. John's been kept quiet. And all of a sudden now he's got to deliver.
Well, I'm afraid that did not augur well. Not even in the general vicinity of the pocket. It's auguring well for Neil Robertson, though. He's just gone 2-0 up on Ross Muir. Muir made a 57 break, but he couldn't pot the last red. Robertson did and cleared to the pink to double his advantage.
Thank you. 1.
Well, he looked at the blue and the angle off the blue for the reds and shook his head, but has come back to it now. He's playing up the table. Well judged. Yes, he nudged off the yellow, but it's still a pretty good shot.
6.
And he's homing in on getting the frame one. Needs red colour red to be absolutely safe.
$7.
Wow. He got a little lucky with the
7.
bump of the middle pocket, but he leapt up in the air. And, well, there you are. That comes as a surprise. It's a pretty simple shot, and he overcut it quite dramatically and then leapt up as if he didn't expect the reaction he got, perhaps. I don't know.
In the midst of so much excellence, that was a shocker.
John can't afford this cue to travel too far down the table. He has to take a colour of some value. The yellow would be not much use to him, because he could only tie then. Green gives him a bit of breathing space, but not much. We know he's made some clearances, but being kept cold like this would be another good one. It's a long way off.
Four.
50 behind. So needs 3 reds, 3 blacks and all the colours to win by a single point. A tough task even for a master of escapology.
Yeah, especially when he'd probably like to play round onto the pink here, but that would mean he could only tie, as you point out. So he can't really do that.
Five.
Probably would like the pink back on its own spot, but that's going to have to wait, all that. Now, in potting this black, is the red above it available? Or will that just have to go up onto the pink spot, which would suit him now? Might be one of those that you don't know for sure until the referee starts to respot it. Yep, up on
12.
highest available. But again, he needs to take blacks with both of these reds.
$13.
One good positional shot here, though, and the clearance becomes very much alive.
Now, is that any good? Is it straight? And can he cue around the pink
20.
ball here? Yeah, well, not exactly. Slightly missable, this. Wasn't great, was it?
John
Just the
Higgins, 20.
fact that he had to play it with an element of pace to get on the black over the top of the pink. There are reasons why that was a difficult shot.
Yeah, especially using a new cue. If you weren't across the storyline yesterday, basically returning from Saudi Arabia, he changed in Paris, and his cue case was left outside on the tarmac for a couple of hours in torrential rain. The rain got into the case and basically ruined the cue. So this is a new one.
1.
Well, I think you can safely say it's going to be 2-0. He's in a snooker, and John might not even come back to the table here.
Mark Allen 1 and frame.
Two different frames, the same outcome. Allen dominating the first and adding the second.
Thank you. Third frame. John Higgins to break.
Habitually, since he sat at snooker's top table for the first time in the mid-1990s, John Higgins has reached ranking event quarterfinals. If he were to prevail tonight, it would be his 143rd. But to get there, he's got to turn things around radically.
Yes, I get the feeling tonight that Mark Allen's standard is not going to drop very much, so it's all on to John Higgins to play some of his best snooker if he's going to win.
Right at the start of the match, I was talking about a Higgins defeat could spell the end of his run, 29 years in the top 16. If Higgins does lose, a win for Kyron Wilson over Barry Hawkins later would do John a massive favour, as did that shot. But even if Hawkins was taken out of the equation, the likes of Chris Wakelin or Neil Robertson, even Pang Junzhu winning the tournament, would mean that Higgins was demoted from the elite.
Touching ball.
The other rankings consideration, yes, it's early in the campaign, but on the one-year list, in terms of qualifying for the Players' Series, Higgins right now is 50th. Top 32 get into the World Grand Prix, top 16 into the Players' Championship, top 12 into the Tour Championship. And if you miss those tournaments, you give the ones who are there a head start.
He disgraced it. He has left a fairly acute red to left middle. I think the way the ranking list is now is, you know, people that pick up the big silverware and the points that go with it, they're always going to be in the strongest position. And the fact that John hasn't, simple as that really, is why he's toiling a little bit,
1.
trying to keep his place. Interesting thing about it is, of course, as we know, Ronnie O'Sullivan and Mark Williams have gone out of the 16. It's hard to think that too, but they have. Ronnie, of course, when he didn't play for very long, that was the reason. Mark Williams, the year that he didn't qualify from the Crucible, was a year before he won it. So John's been the ever-present of those three.
Eight.
Nothing much looks very different about John's game, does it? than he's ever done.
Nine.
Good contact on the pink. It's always the key shot, and you look at the cue ball, if it stays in the middle of the table
14.
without hitting a cushion, it means you've really connected with the bunch squarely. And they should split. And even on this table, they've opened up
Yes.
without the aid of a sledgehammer to really make it all develop.
It's been said on numerous occasions by numerous folks that Higgins isn't especially strong with the rest. But I think in recent years,
15.
you have to say, that weakness has not been all that apparent.
No, he's okay, isn't he? He's not the best. He's certainly not the worst. To be honest, I didn't think he was going to miss that one anyway. But I know what you mean. There are a few that are exceptional. I think that's the difference. It's a wonderful chance now that he has created with that lovely split.
Twenty-two. Twenty-three.
Just a little loose there, leaving hampered queuing.
Well, this sort of shot now, this thin red he's got,
30.
Mark Allen has been playing with such consummate cue ball control that he's finishing absolutely banging behind the blue top side on shots like this. But these sometimes this week have gone astray for other players, just getting the right position.
31.
That's absolutely A1 also.
Dare we start to think about century number
36.
999.
Well, he's been stuck on this number for a while,
37.
hasn't he, for him?
Forty-four. 45.
Maybe the fortunes of the Scots are looking up, because on table 2, Ross Muir, helped by a break of 66, has just won the third frame to trail Neil Robertson 2-1.
52. 53. 60. 61.
I think one of the players, I'll say straight away, Mark Williams, probably should have made more centuries than his career tally, in that, you know, I can think of a spell in his career when he would get to 75 or 80 and just want to get on with the next frame and not worry about centuries. So he should probably be a bit higher. Players like John have always been meticulous, seeing a break right through it to its conclusion.
He's far too pragmatic to think of the frivolity of records.
68.
But once he gets past the line in this frame, i.e. by potting this red, then maybe he'll start to think about the importance of a century.
It's been a belting good break, it really has. He's been kept so quiet by Mark Allen. He hasn't really had the chance to express himself very well in this match until now. And he's now getting his touch together. I think he's okay.
76.
And those three reds in the middle of the table with blacks would be enough to get the century.
77.
The other two reds a little more awkward to land behind. Well now, the two-ball plant, they're probably
84.
well set for the pocket. Still got to get it though.
85. $92. 93.
This for 999, and John Higgins is suddenly on fire. Lots of crowd members know the significance of what he's just achieved. One more needed.
$101.
We mentioned Mark Allen's break, which was more difficult in where the balls were, but he really has placed that cue ball so well.
108.
And even that man sitting in his chair has probably admired it. Anyway, the break ends there. Terrific stuff.
Indeed, it sets us up for a possible milestone, and maybe it sets Higgins up for a full-scale comeback. We'll find out after the break.
The fourth frame. Mark Allen to break.
Here on the fourth evening of the Bedvictor English Open, history could be on the line. But without wishing to be a party pooper, Neil, I have to say this. If you gave John Higgins the choice now, 1,000 centuries this evening, or the victory, it would not be more than a nanosecond before he said, put me through to the quarterfinals.
Well, of course, because you're going to get the 1,000 at some point, isn't he, in the near future? If he wins the match, it could be tomorrow that he gets it. goodness me, that is... I mean, I thought I saw a fluke that Kyron had. That is an absolutely humongous fluke. I don't know quite where to start on this. It's probably the greatest double kiss I've ever seen in my life. Even Phil Yates is lost for words next to me. And that doesn't happen very often. But he didn't take advantage. So it counted for nothing, as spectacular as it was.
John Higgins won.
Well, first I'll say about the fluke, I'll use a phrase that the late great Willie Thorne used to use a lot in commentary. It wasn't the best I've ever seen, but it was in the top three. The most extraordinary fluke I've ever seen, and I can't imagine it would ever be beaten, was one that Scott Donaldson made in the Championship League a couple of years back. It's on YouTube, you've got to see it to believe it. But that was right up there. And when you have a fluke like that, you've got the opportunity to really inflict some psychological damage on the opponent, and Higgins did not.
Yeah, I mean, the fluke that you're speaking about, Scott Donaldson, I've seen it. And some dark forces were in place there. Not many are going to be quite like that, but there's still room for many other flukes to be extraordinary.
Seven.
So the plant negotiated. I think Alan was a little concerned there when the red brushed the yellow. It might block his path, but it hasn't.
Yeah, he stayed down on that one. He wasn't sure. Having missed a much easier yellow to that pocket earlier. I suppose he was in terrific form at the start of the match, but he sat out a century and almost got to start again.
$13. $18.
Well, I think he actually went a bit too far on that. I think he wanted to be either straighter or just top side of the red so he could move the red and black. But now he's barely on the red with no way of disturbing those two balls here. As you can see, it will pop, but you can't move the red and the black at all.
$19.
No, that wasn't one of his best. punched with right hand running side. Beautiful shot, 3 cushions. So red to right middle. If he plays that red, getting onto his colour is not simple.
Doing his level best to keep this break going, but continues to kick against the wind.
Yeah, so if he does play the blue, he can't really control that cue ball. Can't stop it hitting either the yellow or the red behind it to the left of it.
Mark Allen, 25.
Well, it's all about the first red here, isn't it? Just getting into position to pot it. Great shot. Great shot. Played the cannon so well. I mean, you don't get enough on that. You hit the black instead of the red.
So much was against Higgins with that opening pot. He had to be ridiculously precise to get the cannon, and that is A, stretching over, and B, having the yellow as a nuisance.
John Palou was just breathing down his neck, of course, looking for a foul of some kind. Yeah, he got all of the red to make the cannon absolutely A1. Well, he knew that he'd have to produce something, John Higgins, at 2-0 down with Mark Allen playing so well, and he is currently producing. Let's just put it straight out there that the match is the most important thing, but he can make a break of 99 here, not 100, with all reds and blacks, so that's not even going to be entering his mind at all.
And that's probably a good thing.
$24. John Higgins, 24.
Came from nowhere. I don't suppose he wanted to be quite there. Mentioned his rest play, but I didn't see him missing this one. Never quite there, was it?
One.
Bit of a game changer, I think, that red missed. John knows it.
Especially because Alan can do enough with the open reds to leave Higgins requiring a snooker without having to pot that awkward one down in bulk.
Eight. Nine. $15. 16.
Well, now that is
23.
seemingly end of break. It's hard to think how he could keep it going from there. John Palou might even call touching ball, no? He's finished in the worst place, apart from in a pocket, that cue ball. Goodness, he was lucky there.
23.
He should apologise because that would have been a big turnaround had he got it off. I suppose he had no choice there, but to pot that in the middle, played slowly from in the jaws of the pocket, was a really difficult ask.
Suddenly it's gone quite nervy.
Well, Mark Allen surely will not be refusing this red up into the yellow pocket. Cue ball coming back down to towards the black. Don't think he bargained on the red going close to the middle. It looked to be a bit of a shot to nothing. Big moments these. Mark Allen, you feel, probably should have clenched this frame, but he hasn't done so. Higgins still in there. Only 23 behind. It feels like he should be more behind, I think, on the type of frame it's been.
One.
This kind of pot, never easy.
7.
No, and what is he going to do with the cue ball here? I mean, if he could have screwed directly back if it was straight and played on the blue to the opposite middle and freed the red, it would be dreamland. But he's just off straight, and it'll take a very precise shot anyway. So what is the plan to get the other red in this break, the one by the blue?
Yeah, apart from the
Johnny
narrow
Higgins,
pocket
7.
entrance, you've also got to place your hand in a very unnatural position on the side cushion there. And that's why you see that kind of shot. Missed by the very best.
Yeah, I mean, the worst thing for John is that I think he tried to make sure the red and still missed it. He's absolutely fuming. I think he's going to pot it and play the snooker. There's an argument here, even in this positive modern game, that the shot is to play the snooker here, because it'd be a fiendish snooker to be in with the blue in the way as well as potentially in behind the yellow. But he'd have to block off the left side of the table if he rolled behind it. It's a bit of a ticklish one. I think a few different players might have various shots they might play. So he didn't play the pot, deciding that he was going to put the brown on the cushion. Interesting.
Mark Allen, 1.
Might have done a little bit more there, perhaps. Put John in more trouble than he's in.
There will be contemplation here, which gives me the opportunity to tell you Neil Robertson, with a late 53 in frame 4, has taken a 3-1 lead over Ross Muir. What a pot that was! What a pot! That takes him 18 in front. So, just saying, the black and the yellow will be enough. Black's a horrible shot, though.
Yeah, away from his spot like that. I guess 18 in front, if he didn't pot a colour here, then he will still need yellow and green. The brown he put safe will not be required by him. So that's something.
Back, Alan. 1.
Well, he's very disappointed there. The cue ball didn't really go anywhere as to where it was meant to.
Yes, as you pointed out, Neil, he's already tied up a ball he needs.
Yeah, strange old configuration of the colours, isn't it? Not one of them on a cushion, but not one of them on their spot either. I suppose the brown is pretty close to the cushion, and this is pretty close to being a snooker. Using the 3 colours down the left side. So it's not really a frame in keeping with all the others we've seen in this match, but they all count the same.
More trouble afoot. Well, at least there should have been. How about that? We saw a very clumsy snooker attempt from Si Jiahui this afternoon, and that was equally so.
Something of an odd frame this. It started with a bizarre fluke from Higgins. Not sure how this is all going to pan out somehow. There could be a few more twists in this frame, you feel. It's a bit different from the rest.
And it's the kind of frame that throughout his career, John Higgins has ended up salvaging against all the odds. The odds right now are stacked against him, even though he's got Mark Allen in a snooker. But in the last few moments, Allen has missed more than one trick.
Foul and a miss. 4.
So often that happens. He's going towards the yellow, but he just bumped back away from it. He's waiting for the click. I think he didn't want to turn round, but there's no click.
John Higgins.
There's no contact. Look round at the very last second.
Two. John Higgins, 5.
When Higgins beat Mark Allen in that World Championship thriller, he started his 71 clearance in the decider with a double. That one, though, was not on target.
Yeah, before the brown was potted, the 5-point lead was absolutely crucial. It just meant brown and blue was all he wanted. So he'd be relieved to see this, because this frame has been a rather strange one. John appeared to be in command with those couple of snookers missed on the yellow, but in rolling this in, Mark Allen will be relieved it's over in his favour.
15, Mark Allen.
John Higgins will be feeling blue. Mark Allen wins the frame on the blue and takes a 3-1 lead. 100 in the first frame, he led 2-0. Higgins responded with a 108 in the third, his 999th career century. As for the fourth frame, it was the epitome of scrappy. Allen shading it on the blue. That's why John Higgins breaks off. 2 down with 3 to play.
Good pot, nice cannon, full ball on the black with the form he was in earlier. He'd been eyeing up getting this match one here, but it's been put on the back foot a little bit despite winning that frame. Well, it's like a complete miss hit. I was thinking he really had to get hold of that to get to the right of the reds. You've got to dig into it. I don't know what happened. It was a miscue, I think. Strange miscue, because he still screwed back a bit.
Mark Allen, 8.
Higgins needs to show the resilience on this table that Ross Muir is showing on the other. Muir 3-1 down to Neil Robertson. But he's nicely positioned in the fifth frame. Already 49 points to the good, and as you can see, occupying prime position.
Yeah, it's got the potential to be quite a late night on that other table, isn't it? With still a match to be played, of course, on both, but the other match over there is Chris Wakelin and Panj and Sue. And that's a close one on paper. So we're not about to find out the quarter-final lineup anytime soon.
foul, NMS, 4, John Higgins.
It was a very thin contact attempted, no contact made whatsoever.
Yeah, very thin contact made, as you can see. But still, not all that pleased with it. Didn't get the cue ball on the cushion, bolt cushion.
A crackerjack of a pot, and again, we're seeing a department of Allen's game he's not renowned for, but in which tonight, on several occasions, he's excelled. The power game.
Yeah, and the cue speed, he's sort of whipping it back. Terrific shot. Now one big positional shot here, if he can get behind a red. Another chance. Oh, behind the red is what he is, but not to pot one. The opening red deserved a slightly better outcome from the colour than what he got there.
In terms of quality for Allen, the first frame was the high point. Since then, even though he's handily in front, it's been more workmanlike.
Mark Allen, 3.
Well, I don't think there's a plant there, or certainly Mark Allen would have no doubt eyed that up. Those two rests not in line.
On the other table, Neil Robertson, 3 pots away from an almighty steal. He was 70-0 down in this 5th frame. He's just knocked in the blue, so pink and black needed to beat Ross Muir 4-1. What a break from Neil Robertson, a 72 clearance. He overcomes Ross Muir by 4 frames to 1. So Robertson, who last night beat Sean Murphy, now awaits either Barry Hawkins or Kyron Wilson in the quarterfinals. I'll tell you what, Neil, some heavy hitters going into the last 8.
Oh, yeah. It's a good event, isn't it, this one? That 4-1 scoreline over there, that was a lot closer. The frames were a lot closer. As you say, he was 70 in front in the decider, or what turned out to be the last frame. Ross Muir didn't win it. Could have won an earlier frame as well, so 4-1 doesn't necessarily flatter Neil Robertson, but it certainly should have been probably still playing over there.
Yes, Robertson's now won 5 of their 6 meetings.
Well, what about that? Now, that is a very clever shot. Absolutely no way he could leave anything. And, of course, now on the black, so that's a very inventive shot. Might be one of the best shots I've seen all week, you know, because usually it's very spectacular, but this double is 0 risk and 100% reward.
8.
And in terms of judging a double, the hardest are the ones where you've got to take the object ball quite some distance into a cushion. And that's what Alan did. Judged it to perfection.
Time.
John Higgins knows just what a cue ball master Mark Allen is. And that's why Higgins will be feeling as though the match might be slipping away. And then that happens. You can't get your hat on.
9.
Can't believe it. I cannot believe that. There's twice in this frame that he's made a very unlikely mistake. Of course, he hit the red on the way through, is why he missed it. So he might have been a little closer to the potting angle than it looked when he actually made a mistake in getting through to the pocket instead. Maybe it was very tight. Still expected him to get it.
One.
Well, on the black, but this, I mean, he's right over these 2 reds. Butt of the cue will have to be elevated to its highest. It's one thing being slightly obscured by a red, but he's got 2 right in the way, and the one he's closest to is almost touching. You're very limited in what you can achieve here. Just the pot. Look at that. Didn't he play that well? Extremely difficult shot to play at that sort of speed and get your accuracy.
Actually a little unlucky to drop as awkwardly as he has. Positional halfway house in many respects. This red most certainly missable. You see this shot played a lot, and if it is going to be missed, more than likely it's going to be into the left-hand jaw. It was the left-hand jaw, but it fell anyway.
$15. 16.
So no room on the pink spot, which means he's got at least access to the red that's on the pink spot. And I don't think John was overjoyed with this. Hitting the right-hand side of one of those four reds in the centre of the table makes this a slightly tricky one now. Oh, great shot again.
23.
Very authoritatively played.
History tells us it's not recommended to give John Higgins too many invitations for redemption. The mistake from Allen was unexpected.
$25.
The challenge of Higgins remains buoyant.
Well, he might have taken something out of the two opportunities that Mark Allen has had in this frame and not taken. The opening chance where he kind of completely mishit a black, trying to time it back for a red. And then this one, which just grazed the red on the way through, which made it look even worse than it probably was. Either way, didn't see him missing it. John's missed the crucial cannon on the two reds. If anything, he's put them safer than they were.
33.
which means he can gain a further lead in the frame, but unless he does get those reds into play, it seems unlikely that he'll win it here. Now he's played the cannon, played it quite well. A bit close to the where he's likely to play next.
41.
If he gets the rest out on this shot, it's one of these you could completely fluff and the ball not reach the pocket. Anyway, he's just got to hope that something does come his way and he can get this match won. I think the buffer's a little bit in this frame, Mark Allen.
Queuing across the face of the red helps.
Yeah, good point, Phil. If it had been a straighter shot, then he might have had a difficulty, but there was enough angle to make it very gettable.
I apologise in advance if this is annoying. I feel duty bound to say it. It's enough fun for a century.
$50. $57. $58.
Now what should be a straightforward frame ball. And we can start to think about amending the record books.
65.
It'd be a good effort from here to do so with a few balls near cushions.
66.
Well, this is the shot, really. Get to the left side of that red, but not so far that it's covered by the brown. That was the problem. The brown was potentially in the way. As it
73.
maybe he could play a little swerve. Can he get through to it at all? He certainly was a little worried that he was going to get covered. Now he can see it fine. Didn't really understand what those emotions were there. Now he's on the brown, which gets that back on its spot. It's all good. Oh, what a chance now. Goodness, he's done all of the hard work, Phil.
78. $80.
I remember when he started out in '92. I remember even before that when he won the junior title at the World Masters. We knew he was good. He's been more than good. He's been one of the best ever.
'87.
And maybe about to add another statistical accolade to that shining CV.
'92.
Playing it with right-hand check side meant he was always going to finish top side of the pink, so you're never going to overrun.
This is it. This to win the race. To be the second player to 1,000 centuries. John Higgins is there. 2 frames in this match, won tonight, both with tons. And he receives a standing ovation. And rightly so. That is some achievement.
Yeah, a tremendous achievement, Phil, isn't it? And it's good that Mark Allen has got involved in that, I think, as well.
The class of 1992, Ronnie O'Sullivan first to 1,000. John Higgins, fittingly, the second. Judd Trump will be the third, shortly, no doubt. But Higgins got there just ahead of him, and it's a nice moment, this. A very nice moment indeed. And now just Robertson into the quarterfinals. Muir, I'm sure he'll take a lot away from the week, a lot of positives.
Sorry, if you could switch it off completely, okay? Thank you.
Well, that sounded like an extraordinary mobile phone ringtone there. John Palou was not impressed. I think it's one of those, if you miss it on the way up, you'd rather miss it on the way back down and give the 4 away rather than do what he did.
One. Five.
Well, he's on the red too, left middle, but ill-directed shot, actually, off that green. Maybe a little fortunate to have any shot at this red.
Six.
Desperate to get on those couple of reds, either above the black or the one below it, if he could land on it from this blue. They appear to be the key shots if this break's going to go anywhere. No, that's not bad if it bounces off this cushion. The line was good, the pace not quite.
Yes, in the end, didn't even reach the cushion. Two fine recovery shots, though, in succession. And now, restoration of prime position.
No, you're right, that was a much better shot than it looked. Didn't get any applause, but it was so well controlled. Pot was missable. So we've had the landmark reached, which is a great thing, and Mark Allen was very sporting. John has got there. Now it's all about getting the match won. Mark Allen's got the chance to do that here.
18.
Took a bit of a gamble there, opening them up. He felt that there were reds in play that he could land on, even if the split didn't work out. Well, this has got to go in, up into the yellow pocket.
Everyone, understandably, talks about Mark Allen's cue ball control, which is top-notch. I think his greatest asset, though, he's got bottle. Bags of it.
$28.
93% pot success rate. You can't argue with that.
29.
Even though victory yet to be rubber stamped.
$36. $37.
You saw in the background there a quick shot of Chris Wakelin and Pang Junzhu, who will provide the opposition for the winner of this one. I was about to say, had the blue gone in, Allen would be looking mighty good, but the blue stays out.
Shot before wasn't one of his best, was it? Didn't mean to go into the blue in the first place, off the red. Well, he's done well there, goodness. I know he's not right through, but he's got a shot at the black, and he had to absolutely pile drive that cue ball through the reds in the centre of the table.
8. Nine.
John Higgins has got a propensity for finding his best when it's most required, when his back is against the wall. Got that a little fat, a little
16.
too thick. That's why he's not ideally on the red he played for.
Yeah, I think the cue ball just checked a little bit off the cushion as well. That's why he's not behind it. That's the other reason, apart from the thick contact on the black. Yeah, that was never quite there, but he missed it by far enough for it not to stay right over the pocket anyway. If there's any consolation he can take.
One.
It's not a great angle on the black because he's coming over to the left side of the table where not much is on. So from the black he'll have to find a way of getting position on the red, which is not simple. Saw him play that on the replay, that he had to really belt that to stop the cue ball going down the table any further.
Had no option but to keep that
8.
simple. And this red is reminiscent of one he knocked in to keep that clearance going at the Crucible 5 months ago. Same pocket.
John Higgins, 8.
Yeah, good point. It was very similar to that, actually. Your mind is always remembering that the initial double, but that was one of the better shots in the break as well, but not on this occasion. Yeah, that was a big shot. Had that gone in because he got the blue waiting for him and a chance to get the match won. So he can't quite deliver the killer blow in this match, Mark Allen. And he's had a few chances too. Goodness me, it's very handy for John Higgins that that went in, because the cannon on the other red was not meant to be. He must have meant to miss that red. Oh, this black is another one that has to drop. Could be his last shot if it doesn't.
It wriggled, it wobbled, but it went in, and now, look at these balls. Higgins suddenly favourite to take it all the way.
Nine. $15.
Yes, he's not quite a repeat of that match at the Crucible, but you just get the feeling that there are a few do-or-die shots that John has knocked in that have been a bit reminiscent of what happened that day.
16.
I think John is very good at knowing that something has to go in or it's end of match. Seems to concentrate his mind.
$23. $24.
11 to the good Higgins. So black, red, black, yellow would be sufficient to leave Mark Allen recording a snooker.
$31. $32.
Badly timed. Someone in the audience leaving the arena.
$38.
Well, he's got the bit between his teeth now, hasn't he? He's got over the landmark, and that was holding him back a little bit in recent matches. He's not made a century for a few games, but he's made 2 tonight, so he's done that. And now he's back to his old ways of
40.
winning frames from positions where he might well lose them.
$43.
So it's all with him going into the decider. Doesn't mean he'll win it.
$47.
Allen must be thinking, not again.
$52.
It's been a night when we've talked an awful lot about centuries, but it's a half century that keeps Higgins going.
58.
For the seventh time in the match between Mark Allen and John Higgins, a deciding frame shootout is required. It's coming your way after the break.
Thank you. Deciding frame. John Higgins to break.
We started out as the best of 7. Now it's all down to this. If you're looking for some kind of guidance, well, in their 6 previous deciders, Allen's prevailed 4 times, but the 2 victories for Higgins, one at the Masters, one at the World Championship. The Higgins break-off, though, leaving something to be desired, Neil.
Yeah, depends whether he's left access to the red. It could be that the cue was going into the bunch as well if he does go for it. Might end up good or bad, that scenario. Played it really well. He's just overdone it slightly to pot it and just glance off the reds. Was a clever shot, but he's got the pace wrong. Don't think he's going to attempt the black.
Mark Allen, 1.
What a nice shot. And not really played to get the cue ball very far up the table. I think he secretly fancied this one. Dropping in off the jaw, but doesn't really matter.
Six.
Of course, whatever happens in this frame, even if Mark Allen builds up a sizable lead, he'll still have flashbacks to what happened when they met at the World Championships with that clearance of Higgins, which we have spoken about a lot. But you know, it'll be on Mark Allen's mind as well, I can tell you.
I was waxing lyrical about Mark Allen's bottle in the previous
14.
frame when he broke down, but I'll stick to my guns. More often than not, he copes with pressure very well.
Wow, well, it looked very straight, and I mean, if you could
20.
do one of those spot the ball they used to do where the football ends up, if you could have said the cue was going up tight under the cushion, it'd be the last place you could imagine after that last shot from on the blue, heading down towards the reds.
Spot the ball, that brings back some memories.
Yeah, just very unpredictable, wasn't it?
Mark Allen, 20.
It's never a good thing when you're playing back into balk to catch the far jaw of the middle pocket.
One.
Once again, not quite getting the distance on the cue ball. He's got that angle where he's really got to thump this to get down to the reds on this table. So nothing is particularly easy right now. Oh, goodness me. Oh, well, it's bad enough hitting it, he snookered himself, so
6.
slightly worrying signs for Mark Allen that getting over the line is proving a real difficulty. I feel that he's playing some good snooker, but for some reason it's getting very difficult for him to win this match now.
Mark Allen,
He's not
6.
conceded anything there. John Higgins is going to have to play safe, so got to try and look on the bright side. He's got a lead, but he might have thought that he could have got this match won already by now.
So the sum and substance of this match, a total of 3 centuries, 1 excellent clearance, a couple of disjointed frames, and now a typically nervy decider.
Well, this time not even trying for that pot. I mean, it wasn't the most natural to get back to safety. I just wonder if this is all building up to a John Higgins clearance again. It kind of halfway feels that way. There was a little sneaky look down the line to the right of the pink to see what can be hit of those reds. I think there's one that can just a little bit of it sticking out. John Palou is interested as well. Anyway, I don't think John's playing it. And he's just dead batting this, playing off the cushion. Hard as nails.
Yeah, the one thing he had to avoid there at all costs was going wide of the red. Similar scenario to this afternoon when Judd Trump and Fan Zhengyi had to wait some considerable time before getting onto the table. It's the same thing for Karen Wilson and Barry Hawkins this evening. Whatever occurs from here on in, they won't get out there. They won't be potting balls until well after 10 o'clock.
John at the stage, and he knows it's a crucial juncture of the match where he's taking out all the risk, playing containing shots. He rolled up to the red as you saw the previous visit, trying to keep things watertight for when that chance does come, if it does. He's leaving that red down the cushion, but it's not easy, and Mark Allen with no real way of getting on a colour. That's why John left it.
Further progress on table 2. Pang Junzhu has made an 83 break to lead Chris Wakelin 2-0. Given the history between these two, the recent history, given what's at stake, given the way the match has gone, you can fully understand Mark Allen being circumspect in very cautious. A defeat, having been 3-1 up, would hurt. Again, the Northern Ireland #1 biding his time.
Well, they're both a bit like that now, aren't they? They're both gone into that mode. Decider mode. Take as much risk out of things as you can. Trying to slip round the back of the brown and maybe get a snooker. Little winch because he knows it wasn't quite right. But as you can see, nothing really forthcoming for Mark Allen to go at. It's a slight mistake, but not necessarily a major one. That red could have easily cannoned the other one and gone over the pocket.
Frame in progress for 18 minutes. And still 10 reds on the table.
Then he's going for this. It's a big shot, this red half ball. Well, he's got cover. He might need cover behind the yellow, but Mark Allen was very quickly out of his chair, and he's not seeing anything that he really likes. It was a mistake from Higgins. Overcutting that red by a long way. That tells a story, doesn't it? I mean, it was not an easy pot, but he's now ruled out any risks. It's been happening for a while, but I thought he would at least go for that one.
Nerves are raw, and that feeds through to hesitancy.
Thank you. If you can make sure that phone is switched off, please.
The curse of the mobile phone. Thankfully, he wasn't too late into the shot to be able to back away. So he got back down after the mobile phone rang. Didn't knock in the red. I'll tell you what would be the wrong number for Mark Allen here. 4-3 Higgins. That would sting.
Oh, another very handy second kiss. Both players have become quite cautious. I had a feeling John was winding up to go for that long round, but then you saw that he was playing safe and in doing so getting lucky. It's a long time since anyone potted a ball. Quarter of an hour, goodness me. They haven't gone for very many in that time either, quite honestly.
Yeah, and it's not one of those stalemate situations or one of those scenarios where the balls are very awkward indeed. They're all in conventional positions. Symptomatic of where we are.
Well, once again, the containing shot, which at first, the way he was winding up to play it, I thought he was going for. I mean, the intensity of this last frame is as if it's a world final decider. Both players are giving nothing away. That is a very telling safety shot from Mark Allen.
In terms of safety success, Allen's been the better player of the two.
I think there's a red that goes up into the green pocket, but I don't know whether Mark Allen could get onto a colour from it, so I don't think he's even going to entertain it again. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a stalemate, as you pointed out. It's just a very intense safety struggle, this.
Well, the good news is the car park at the Brentwood Centre is large, because they're both parking the bus at the moment. And that's entirely justified.
Just getting a little bit of luck, John, isn't he? That he got lucky there not to leave anything. He had a shot where he got a double kiss earlier this frame, which led to just safety. I think he is getting a run the ball. I mean, the red could have finished absolutely anywhere once it stayed up.
It's been a smorgasbord of snooker, this match. Centuries and dogfights.
Played a good cue ball there, but knocking the high-value colours around. They could have finished on cushions. And we've been at this 20 minutes, which is a very unusually long time in the sort of frame it's been without a ball being potted. Goodness me. What a decider this is. Of course, the longest ever deciding frame was 2 hours, 3 minutes. David Gilbert, Fergal O'Brien, the deciding frame to qualify for the Crucible a few years back. So this is only a minnow compared to that.
You did the match, Neil. Half an hour on the yellow, was it?
Something like that. I mean, the intensity of that match was pretty evident, and the importance for both players. It's when you get an hour-long first frame of a match, which doesn't have the same meaning. It's not as easy to take. This is great stuff. It's hard to see who will blink first.
On table 2, Pang Junzhu, 2-0 up on Chris Wakelin. Very latest in the third frame, 27 points to 1 ahead is the former ranking event finalist. Noises from the crowd, things that go bump in the night. And it's now deep into the night. This frame, half an hour. The second marathon of the day in the main arena. A day that started with Mark Selby outlasting Si Jiahui 4-3. deadlock maintained. And all the while, the table becoming a wee bit scruffier.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens invariably when there is a long safety struggle like this. But for a lot of the time we've waited for a ball to be potted, the table was in open play. I mean, these two are just not giving an inch, are they? Goodness. This is hard snooker. "25 minutes since a ball was potted." Goodness. Takes some believing, really, all the shots that have been played.
Yes. Yes, I was. Yes, thank you. No problem.
Now, is John going to take a red on this time? That's not even guaranteed. Because should he miss that one, he knows that it could be his last shot. And that's why he winced there. He knows he's awkward queuing over the yellow. He might even refuse it and play another safety shot.
So to use a sporting analogy that might not really work, but I'm going to do it anyway, in the time between pots here, a world-class runner could complete a 10,000 metres race. The question is, who will go the extra mile in terms of this match? Look at these balls all congregating on that left-hand side cushion. Even when this impasse is broken, sorting out the frame will take some time.
But he might be trying to cut this red in. He may get a standing ovation if he does, more so than the 1,000 centuries. Well, this might not work either, Phil, but I'm going to say it's the immovable object against the immovable object.
Yeah, the irresistible force not relevant.
Absolutely. Mark Allen, I mean, he had to smile there. I mean, what else does he do? Either that or you cry.
Better go in it? Yeah, Stevie.
I think he said, I'm going to do a Stevie, which is just have a lunge at one of these and see if he can fluke one. That's what he was kind of joking to John. They're good friends, both of these two, with Steve Maguire, of course. Phil, I've got to be honest with you, I don't know where this is all going to end somehow.
I think the more important question is when it's going to end.
Thank you not for the players at the table. Thank you.
A member of the audience suggested a re-rack, but 27 points ahead, Mark Allen is never going to agree to that.
Well, the first one was an air shot, but of course it's not like golf. An air shot does not count against you as a foul or a penalty of any kind. He's looking at a 3-ball plan here, and the interesting thing about this is the red close to the pocket would allow it to be a bigger pocket, but I mean all those balls in a row. It's a complicated one. 30 minutes, half an hour since a ball was potted. If it wasn't for the red close to the pocket, he would not consider this, but he feels there might be a way of nudging a red in off the other. Biggest cheer of the day.
Eureka!
Seven.
Still some intricacy to be completed.
Eight.
Deep screw, reverse side. Every ball potted, he's getting closer and closer to what would be his 64th ranking event quarter-final and one of the most hard-earned.
Fifteen. $16.
Well, has the cue ball gone far enough to get centre ball striking? Just about get to it without cueing over the top of the red. But it was enough to put him off.
Mark Allen, 16.
His cue was so close to the red, it was in his mind that he could just graze it and foul. John Palou was breathing down his neck, rightly so.
Yeah, the problem started because the previous red was hit badly.
One.
John Higgins is the Iron Man. You saw it's 40 minutes since he potted the ball before that. Now, what can he do here? We know what he's capable of, how deep he can dig.
He needed to dig deep on that cue ball. He has pulled it back far enough.
Yeah, but the problem is he might be going into other reds here. There's some uncertainty about the positional side of this shot and the pot.
Nine.
However good you are, you just can't predict the run of those balls. So many balls are being hit. Now, this blue to middle with the red over the pocket is a very unpleasant shot to be faced with.
Blue ball.
Oh my goodness, what a shot. Just rolling it across the nap.
14.
Probably losing the match if it doesn't go in. He's made of iron, isn't he?
It was simply superb. But can he keep it going? Are we going to see a duplication of what happened at the Crucible?
Well, he's going to have to probably get the rest out. If he plays the yellow, he'll need the rest on it. I'm sure he will. And we know that he may not be quite as good with the rest as he is in every other aspect of his game. He needs it on the blue as well. So it adds a different dimension to this shot for someone like Higgins.
It's a 3-hour match. That's total playing time. Late night drama at the Brentwood Centre with one more match still to come.
That is just a great shot once again.
20.
There was me saying with the rest, John is not as good as maybe one or two of the others. It never touched the sides. And crucially, he's on this red by the pink. That opens things up. Maybe to push the other red out.
29.
We're seeing the full array of Higgins shots when the pressure's down, aren't we? How about these last two shots?
It's a new cue. Same old battler.
Goodness, I forgot about the cue. We spoke about it at the beginning of the match. Which was a long time ago, but... That's perfect. I think John is actually used to changing cues. He has used many in his career. Other players might only use one or two in their whole snookering career.
24.
He must like it.
This decider was a slow burner. Now, though, edge of seat stuff. All that work, and then the pink. You never expect him to miss. Goes astray.
Yeah, I mean, he potted 5 more difficult shots than that in this break. He was slightly stretching, but no way do I think he'd miss it.
One.
crucible flashbacks for Allen have receded. This black and the last red, and he should be okay.
Well, that's not great. I guess he's got almost a free shot at it up into the yellow pocket, but
8.
that would not have been how he meant it. And you can see him shaking his head. I wouldn't blame him for just bringing the cue ball right under the black cushion here, because the pot is anything but guaranteed.
Mark Allen, 8.
Wow. This is not over. Well, he's had a bit of luck there again, goodness. There have been a few rubs in favour of Higgins. That was a double kiss, but it was a very thin one.
You can't say the remaining balls are in favour of Mark Allen. OK, the brown is off its spot, close to the ball cushion. But this is not an awkward table by any means. Very well done. Excellent.
Good shot, it really is. To hit it off the second cushion guarantees a bit of separation between cue ball and object ball. Hitting it off one cushion didn't guarantee that. Finally. And really, after all of what's gone on here, who could really deny Mark Allen this? It's some kind of redemption for the World Championships and all the pain at losing and how well he took defeat. He's going to get one back here.
6.
It's his 5th win in 7 deciders against John Higgins. And now Higgins will have to sweat in terms of whether he remains inside the top 16.
9.
His fate will depend on the results of others. But that's not a concern of Mark Allen. What a match that was. We saw a milestone, John Higgins' 1000th century, but he didn't get the desired result. Instead, it is Mark Allen who goes into the quarterfinals of the Bedvictor English Open by a margin of 4-3.